Hello, good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Daily Record Hotline Live. We're looking forward now towards the weekend. Domestic season restarts. It feels like it's start-stop all since it's begun because of the international breaks, but enough to get our teeth into tonight. I'm joined by Craig Swan and Scott Burns. Swanee hasn't taken the risk of joining me in the studio and I don't blame him. Don't know what I've caught in Zagreb, but it's not getting any better. Swanee, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. It's sad not to be in the office, but there you go.
You didn't share any of my bugs from yesterday's experience?
Well, not yet, but I'm not counting my chickens. You know what it's like. It'll happen in the next couple of days.
Scott, how you doing, pal?
Good. What's this office you speak about?
Yeah, it's a thing that people go into sometimes, do some work.
All right,
try
it. Okay. All right. Ouch.
No.
Hello, boys. Start there, man.
There you go. Look at this. Daily Record HQ. As I said, the James Bisgrove studio, we're calling it because it's taking forever to build. Gradually getting there. But it's getting better. It's getting better. We were for a while broadcasting from an iPhone out near the kitchen area, and at least the lights work in the studio, guys, so you don't need to go for a lap around the place to do the motion thing and put the lights on. I'm not continually in danger of disappearing into the dark. Well, not figuratively anyway. Right. Talking about lights, etc., etc. Guys, I think one of the major things come over the last couple of days has been UEFA clobbering both Rangers and then Celtic over the fans' use of pyro at recent games. Celtic get done again for Dortmund. Rangers were firing rockets onto their own pitch. Some rockets were firing rockets onto their own pitch during the Europa League game against Lyon. It seems pretty clear, guys, that UEFA are really wanting to crack down on this. Celtic have now been threatened with a ban on away fans from one game, should there be any repeat offenders. There's the threat for partial stadium closures as well. Swanee, I'll start with you. What's it going to take? I mean, these guys, these fans, we know they're supporters, right? Of course they are. They're travelling, handing out money hand over fist to follow their team. But they're doing so much damage now, and potentially it could get worse. What's it going to take?
I don't know what it's going to take, Keith, because I think the clubs have gone on about it long enough. They've mentioned it. I don't know what else. The constant fines that are having to come out the club's pocket. I don't understand it. And the warnings are there. The warnings are there across Europe. As you say, partial stadium closures are taking place.
I think Swanee's buffering before our very eyes, Scott. I think what he was saying there, Elfsborg have this week been fined €50,000 and threatened with a partial stand closure, or given a partial stand closure. Lille, €20,000 fine, partial stand closure. Legia Warsaw, 50 grand fine, partial stand closure. The last thing that Celtic want in the later stages of this Champions League campaign is to find that the singing section of the stadium's been shut down when Brendan Rodgers needs, all the help he can get in order to try and reach his target of place in the playoffs for the Champions League. It's madness.
It's madness. It's complete madness. But I mean, we were talking about Europe here. That's where they're getting globbered. But we also need to take a stance at home as well. It's happening in Premiership clubs up and down the country. You know what I mean? And it needs to start at home. If it starts at home, then you don't have that problem that you won't have the same problem in Europe. But I understand both sides of it. There's the so-called fan culture now, which adds a bit of colour and singing section. It adds a bit to the game. But the problem is that pyro is just not safe. You know what I mean? And that's the issue. I mean, if somebody can go on Dragon's Den and find some form of safe pyro, you'd be an instant millionaire. You know what I mean? Stuff that could be let off in the stadium.
Yeah, well, they did that. They did that, didn't they? Wasn't it Celtic Park? And they had It was almost like electronic pyro.
Yeah.
So
but it's something with the same impact as the sort of pyro you get just now. Something like that along those lines. Somebody would be on a winner. But your problem is that even at home, you've got these boom boxes where they let them off before cup finals and international games.
Safe fireworks.
They're not safe. That's the problem.
I know.
The safe, one of my pals, close pals, is a safety officer. He says to me they shouldn't be doing that either. They're not actually safe. Mm-hmm. So the actual authorities are not setting the best example by letting these off.
It's a very valid point. However,
you know what I mean? So everyone needs to get their house in order. But in terms of Celtic and Rangers, it's just UEFA will take. Because it's a Scottish team, it's not so much. So we're not from the big leagues. We won't think twice. It's stamping it down on us. You know what I mean?
No, they're going to hammer us, and this is the point. Yep. And you just wonder if there's any way. John Gilligan came out and spoke to the Rangers fans. He said, "Just please stop. Celtic have done it time and time again. They've both got hit in the pocket again this week." I would like to think that there'd be an element of self-policing here, but I'm just not sure how you do it. How does anybody go about telling the Green Brigade not to do that? How does anybody do the same with the Union Bears at Rangers? These guys seem to think that they're a law unto themselves. And even, it absolutely scrambles my brain trying to process what's going through their heads when they think it's okay. Whether it's a safety issue. You could be a father taking your kids to the game. If one of these kids, if the father's got asthma issues, it's really, really dangerous. So that's first and foremost. You've got that issue. You've got the issue of, somebody could be really seriously burnt by one of these things. The Rangers game against Leon, they're actually firing them onto the pitch. It's insane. Sorry, guys. It's absolutely insanity. But I'm concerned, Scott, that this weekend, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it happens again at Celtic Park when Aberdeen come to town, and if it happens again at Rugby Park when Rangers go down there on the Sunday. And if that happens, I don't know. I don't know what hope there is.
Yeah, you made them examples. It could happen, but it could happen at any of the grounds. There's a lot of the clubs have been culpable. The fan bases that have let off flares and different things. I don't know where it ends, but the problem is that even when you self-police it, all it takes is one daft individual to sneak one in his pocket, quickly light it and throw it, and what can you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the problem. The only thing I can suggest is, even why do the clubs not get the Green Brigade, not Green Brigade, get that Union Bears, get the Red Shed or whatever, and if they want to let off flares and fireworks, can they not organise something before the game outside in a sort of outside environment where they can make the most of it?
Yeah, but that's not. They're not interested.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying in a pre-match sort of thing, that sort of thing in the build-up to the game. You know what I mean?
It's like what you got to do. Remember the wee trays of fireworks you used to get with the wee safety lights and all that, and stand back 5 yards and take a torch, and it's not going to happen. They enjoy it because they enjoy the way it looks. I think they enjoy the fact that they're sticking two fingers up at the authorities. But if they really care about the football clubs as much as they purport to care about the football clubs, surely they've got to recognise that the potential damage. And the worst thing, you ask Brendan Rodgers right now, if he's looking at he's got Leipzig, Bruges and young boys still to come at Celtic Park this season. Every point is going to be a prisoner. He wants to reach the playoff phase of the Champions League. It would be absolute madness if Celtic go into one of these games without the core element of their support.
That's the team's the most important thing, isn't it? And that's the one thing that the fans with their actions can potentially harm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And is it going to take for somebody to get seriously injured or a player to get seriously injured before this stops? But the problem as well is, how do the authorities scan all the fans that go in? All the fans that go in. You've heard all the stories about ahead of cup finals, people hiding things in gardens and throwing them across the fence into the Hampden and all that shit. The lengths that people go to is unbelievable. But it's the fans themselves. You're right. Self-policing is probably going to be the only way.
What about the actual police, Burnsy? I mean, because they seem to stand back and allow this to happen.
But so do the league officials. So do the clubs. What they do. So I mean, why should the police should step in, but the clubs should be doing it. It goes back to the clubs as well. If the clubs go back and take a zero tolerance stance domestically, then it should help. Do
you know what they should do? Do you know what they should actually do? Because I'm actually recalling. Remember, there was a recent Old Firm match at Hampden, and there was again rockets getting fired from inside the stadium out towards the pitch. Absolute madness. See, when that happens, or if that happens, or if there's any sign of pyrotechnics, there should actually now the club should actually just say, right, that's it. Players are coming off the pitch. If you can't behave yourselves up there, then the players aren't prepared to go back out, or we're not prepared to send the players back out. Maybe that's the only way. But it's time for firm action.
Something like that might work. The fact is, the games are not going ahead. The rest of the fans are the ones that are going to be, paying the price as well. So.
Yeah, the good ones. I know it's ridiculous. Here's Joseph Agnew, who's watching live on YouTube. I have to say, guys, get your comments into us through the social media platforms, whether it's X or Facebook or YouTube. Joseph Agnew has done just that. Listen, flares are banned. Just take the season tickets off them and get waiting lists down by reselling the season tickets. I can't disagree with it. Everybody knows. The clubs know who's sitting in what seat. It shouldn't be that difficult, Bunsey, to identify these people.
No, they can zoom in with CCTV. I mean, the majority of the time, you know what I mean? You should be able to find out who these fans are, you know what I mean? I mean, all the
police, they're sitting watching with closed circuit. They should be able to identify people. And by the way, huckle them. Just get them out.
No, as soon as if anyone's found guilty of that, and charged or whatever, it should be an automatic ban. Whether it's 5 years, 10 years, whether it's sin die, but the ban should be in place, sort of thing, definitely. And I think clubs need to do that and put that in writing, sort of thing. And then if the fans cross over that line, then they know what's coming.
I actually feel really sorry. I'm going to say I feel sorry for the clubs, because they must be tearing their hair out. They have asked over and over again. The fans don't seem to care if it's going to cost them. It's only €15,000. Who cares? But what they have to understand, I think, particularly this season, is there is a move here by UEFA to absolutely clamp down on this and to kick it out. I'm actually surprised that Rangers didn't get the Copeland Road shut down after what happened in the Lyon game, because that was as blatant as I've seen. But you just wonder. The fans, they care so much about it that they're prepared to, as I said, spend a fortune to follow their team all over Europe, and they keep on doing this stuff. It almost smacks of they think that they're more important than the game itself, and that's where they've kind of got it the wrong way round. Surely.
Certainly, certainly some of the ultras and that egos are at play. You know what I mean? A lot of them have been at loggerheads with the clubs throughout the years and that as well. But there's no doubt the way it's going, there's going to be stands closed down in Scotland.
I know.
Or European games, and there might even be stadiums closed down. And it's maybe not until we get to that point till fans realise, well, that's what it's going to take. It's going to be. Everyone else is going to suffer it. The club will suffer financially. You know what I mean? The players will suffer on the pitch because they won't have the support. The supporters are not involved in this element. They'll miss seeing their team.
Yeah.
So I think it will come.
I think the players' union as well, Scott, have got a part, because this is about safety in the workplace, and their members are complaining that they're not safe when they're out in a football pitch because of pyrotechnics flying past their ears. Is it going to take one of these guys to get hit in the head or something? It's madness. I actually can't believe that we're having this same conversation, because it's this time every season it's the same old chat. I wonder if the fans will actually take it on board this time, that UEFA are really serious about doing something about it.
I genuinely, as I said to you last time, I don't think they will until, one of the ultimate punishments is there, whether that's a stand closure or a stadium closure. I don't think we'll see anything different until that happens.
Well, here's Craigie, who's watching live on YouTube. Green Brigade and Union Bears are both bad news for both clubs. they sneak pyros in when the stadium's setting up their banners, etc. Well, that's right. I've seen that. They sometimes the displays go in 24 hours before the match itself. I think that's usually what happens. So in that way, the club is facilitating some of this, because there's no way that they're actually walking up with these rockets and all that in their pockets on the day of the game. You wonder, is some of this stuff actually getting into the ground the night before the game? In which case, the clubs do have a liability there, and they do have a responsibility, surely, to crack down and say, look, guys, that can't come in.
No, you're right. The clubs maybe should be doing more. The safety officers, the police and that, probably ask them. They've always speaking to these fan groups and warn them, etc. But surely, we've seen like the Green Brigade. They weren't at Celtic Park for a while. Is it going to take the clubs actually banning the fans themselves before it stops? Closing sections down, taking action into their own hands yet again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the first approach.
I think the vast majority of fans are fed up with it as well. I think 90% of the guys, they don't get involved in all this stuff. I think they just kind of look over and go, not again. They're doing it again. It's perplexing. There's Craig again, who's got back with his suggestion. The SFA should deduct 10 points, whether it's Gers or Tick fans, lighting pyros, etc. SFA need to make a statement with point deductions to stadium closing. It might come down to that. But do you think, Scott, the authorities in this country are strong enough to take a stand like that? I'm not sure that they are.
I don't think they are, and that's why they haven't done it so far. You know what I mean? But it needs to happen. Where there needs to be punishments in place where clubs are punished financially, and sort of even with the threat of closure of stadiums or sections. That's the only way. As I said to you at the start, we need to start policing it right in our own backyard. And once we sort that out, then I don't think we'll have as many problems on the European front.
Oh, absolutely. It's like the old thing, isn't it? When they introduced, you have to wear a seatbelt in the car. Once people get used to doing it, it's not an issue. And I think if you can stamp this out, I'm just worried about what it's going to require, what's going to take. There's Bruce Katie, I hope that's right, Bruce, watching us on Facebook, who's commented, search everyone. Goes on to say they are really not true fans, and I think that's striking. They say they claim to have the club and the best interest of the club in their heart, but it doesn't make any sense then that you would keep on damaging the club by behaving like this. It seems very self-entitled, Scott. Is that just a generational thing? Am I just getting old?
You're certainly getting old.
Yeah, that's
aren't
true.
we all? No, but I see. No, you're right. In terms of going back to the fan culture, a lot, and I'm not going into any individual group, but a lot of the fans have been banned for their actions. You know what I mean? They've been warned, they've been threatened, and they just continue to try and cross the line. I know for like talks with safety officers, with fans groups, and they'll say, look, you can do X, Y, and Z. But if you give them X, Y, and Z, then they want to push again.
Push the envelope.
More,
that's right.
More and more, and that's the problem. You know what I mean? And even when it means overstepping the mark or breaking the law, or whatever, they still want to push it. So you give them a little, but they still want more, and that seems to be the way with a lot of the fan groups.
Are the clubs responsible for that? I come back to it because it's kind of like once you've created the monster, and you've let it out the box, then the monster needs to be fed. And I kind of look at the behaviour of some of these ultras groups, and I think, they're kind of they're almost put in a pedestal by some clubs. Even to the point that fans, the vast majority of fans, they don't go along to create an atmosphere or sing songs anymore. It's these guys. They're in charge of the song sheet. They're in charge of, and you just wonder, have they been over sort of mollycoddled and promoted by their own clubs, because it has got to the point that they think they're above the law. I mean, I remember the Champions League one, was it last season before, when Celtic fans come walking out of the North Curve and walking along the side of the pitch with Palestinian flags, even though they knew the club was going to get hammered for that. I've never seen self-entitlement like it. And I think the vast majority of fans look at this and say, this is out of control. I wouldn't be allowed to do that. But for some reason, the ultras groups seem to be given special permission to do what you want. And all they're doing is causing damage.
Certainly, I mean, in some aspects, whether it be the pyro, whether it be certain flags or slogans or whatever, they are causing damage to their club. I mean, there are other elements, though, of the fan culture which I think have been positive. So, there's good bits and there's bad bits. I mean, I think there's better atmosphere at games. For example, up at Aberdeen, they've introduced the red shed. I think that's made a big difference. I think there's a better Union Bears at Rangers, the Green Brigade, all the different fans, the D section at Dundee. At times, they all add to the atmosphere of the game.
There's no doubt about that.
Yep. So there's got to be a balance where the fans know they can help the team, but they can't overstep the mark and do this sort of illegal sort of stuff. When I say illegal, in terms of with regards to the rules of football, the football authorities sort of thing. I mean, I just think they've got to stay on the right side of that. If they do that, then it's all well and good. But I do think it's not all bad. This fan culture, I think, has been a good element of it in Scottish football as well.
Yeah, I agree with you that there's a lot of positives, but there's a lot of pandering going on as well. And I think that if you bend over too many times, they need to know the rules. They need to be told, look, your support is appreciated, the noise, the colour, it's fantastic. But come on, if you break the rules, if you go too far, then there has to be a punishment. But it seems that they're allowed to do what they want, and there doesn't seem to be enough kind of management of it. There's Scott in Berlin. I'm surprised this is even an issue. All ultra fan groups in Europe, especially here in Germany, flares are part of our football religion. I'd be more up for banning racial banners and flags. I think we could do without a lot of it. But there is a point there. You look at the big derbies in Greece and these places. The place is lit up like an absolute cauldron. There are pyrotechnics everywhere. But come on, guys, can't you see that the reason? It's not so that you don't have fun. It's so that nobody gets hurt here. We don't need a situation where a young kid gets his face burnt off or his hands, or and we bring this problem upon ourselves. We have to be better than that, and the supporters have to be better than that. And you kind of hope that there might be an element of peer pressure, Scott, that the vast majority of fans, make it known to these ultra groups that, look, we're not happy with this, lads. You're letting us down. You're letting us all down.
Yeah, you would hope so, but it's the same rules that apply in the street. You know what I mean? These guys know when they're breaking the law. They know when they're crossing the line, sort of thing. You know what I mean? And then it's the element of, well, they're in a group as well, and it's showmanship.
Mob behaviour. Yeah.
Then the peer pressure begins and that sort of thing.
Well, look, I've got a bad feeling that we're going to see that again this weekend, because they do make a habit of, once they've been told off for doing something, well, they like to stick two fingers up in everybody's face and do it 10 times as much. So it really won't surprise me if it happens again over the weekend, both at Celtic Park and at Rugby Park. But let's not forget, there's a reason that everybody's going to be, and all eyes are going to be on Celtic Park and Rugby Park, because there's football to watch, Bunsey. And I, for one, cannot wait for this one at Celtic Park at the week. You must be fairly excited about it yourself. What a great matchup this is going to be, and what an interesting 90 minutes it's going to provide us with. We're going to really get a gauge now for, are Aberdeen the real deal or not?
It's going to be brilliant. The fact is that you've got two teams who have won all 7 of the Premiership games. You know what I mean? They're going in there with maximum. Both teams are going in with maximum points. You know what I mean? And it's refreshing as well that it's not Rangers and Celtic all the time. That there's a sort of new kid on the block, as in not a new kid, but in terms of being up top of the table for it. You know what I mean? This has been a few years since Aberdeen were up there. I think it's last time they didn't finish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, I think it's brilliant. Is it going to be a gauge, of where Aberdeen are? Possibly, but it's not going to make or break their season. I don't think.
Absolutely not. But I think we'll have a better idea once it's over, Bunsey, as to whether or not Aberdeen are going to be hanging around the top end of the table, and that's great, it's progression, or are they really, really serious about taking real chunks out of Celtic and Rangers this season? That's what I'm intrigued to see.
There's no doubt. The minimum going to be third in the league this season.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get any more than that. Can they split Rangers and Celtic? Possibly and confirm. Can they go one step further and actually win a championship race? Time will tell. Time will tell. I mean, obviously, they've got a big month coming up. They've got Celtic Park. They've got Rangers at the Tawdry. They've got the Scottish Cup semi-final against Celtic as well. So probably after these fixtures, you'll get a better idea of exactly where Aberdeen will be. But I genuinely don't think. I think certainly at the Tawdry, they can get results against Celtic and Rangers. Can they do it at Ibrox and Parkhead? Well, if they do it on Saturday, then that's a real shot in the arm.
Well, Bunty, I've been saying for a while now that people should take this Aberdeen side seriously. People should take Jimmy Thelin seriously. I kind of get the feeling that the vast majority are just kind of, well, it's a decent enough run, but very few people are looking at this outside of Aberdeen, that is, and saying, wow, this is real. I tell you what, see if they went down to Celtic Park and got a result, everybody in the whole country has to sit up at that point and say, this really is the real deal. I've got Stephen Mulhern here, right enough, Celtic fan from Dumbarton, who says we should adopt a shoot on sight policy from the start. Aberdeen's keeper shipped 5 goals against Northern Ireland and looks as nervous as a kitten. I think he's been an excellent signing.
I was waiting to say that. I think he made a mistake domestically, in the last game against Hearts, where he came through across and never got there, cost a goal. But I mean, that's his mistakes. You can count in a couple of fingers since he went to Aberdeen. He's been absolutely outstanding. He's been brilliant. You know what I mean? Obviously, his confidence might have taken a bit of dunk losing 5 against Northern Ireland, but he's come back to an Aberdeen team who he won 7 games in the league, but they won 13 all in. And it's the same Aberdeen squad that haven't lost a game in 90 minutes for over 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Come back to Peter leaving last season, went into the bottom 6. They haven't lost a game for more than 6 months, and the only game they lost in that time was to Celtic in that Scottish Cup semi-final with penalties.
Tell me this, Bunzy. Tell me this up the road there where you are. Can you feel it? Can you feel the excitement? Do you get the feeling that the fans are ready to come down to Glasgow this weekend expecting something? Look,
the fans are living in the moment. They're enjoying where they are. You know what I mean? They've been up and down like a yo-yo in recent years. They're enjoying being top of the league. They're enjoying winning games, right? They kid on, the fans, they sing, we're going to win the league. You know what I mean? But it's with a touch of irony. You know what I mean? I think they genuinely know that they probably won't win they probably won't win the league. You know what I mean? But you just never know. I mean, look, Leicester, you've got Leicester City, you've got Bayer Leverkusen. Things can happen.
It happens
in Scottish football, but you just never know. And when you get that early momentum, where does it stop?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've got here, just to go back to what we were discussing earlier, William McInnes has got in touch. He's watching on Facebook, talking about what I'm guessing what we were discussing earlier. Said spot on. Some of the Celtic group supporters need reining in. I'm guessing William is a Celtic fan. But on to the game. Comment here from David Gilroy, also on Facebook. I think Aberdeen are looking at Celtic the way Celtic were looking at Dortmund. I have a feeling that Celtic will win and win handsomely. There is always the danger of that as well. This is what I've been trying to get, and this is what's fascinating me so much about this match, Burnsy, is this is the real measuring stick. This is when we get the real gauge. There is every chance that Celtic could run over the top of them the way that Dortmund run over the top of Celtic. Of course there is. Because the same sort of financial disparity is involved in this. I just don't think they're going to. I actually think we're going to get a real contest. I do think that Celtic will bring their A game to it because they're not oblivious to what's going on under Jimmy Thelin. They're not oblivious to the fact that this Aberdeen side have matched them stride for stride so far this season. So they won't come with a relaxed attitude. They'll be wanting to go for Aberdeen's throat, I would have thought. But I think the way what I've seen, you can tell me, Burnsy, but what I'm seeing of this Aberdeen side, that might play into Aberdeen's hands a little bit.
Celtic will want to go win the game and make a statement and show that we are the champions. Mm-hmm. We are still the team playing for. You know what I mean? And everyone else still needs to catch us up. Aberdeen have done brilliantly, made a brilliant start. They've got the thing with Aberdeen is though, they're winning games, right? But Aberdeen have not hit top tier either. This Aberdeen team can only get better also. Mm-hmm. And I think in terms of January, if Aberdeen if they're up there or in a title race, I know that the board and Dave Cormack will put his hand in his pocket and push it to really go for it. So, I mean, they've got a good team as it is. I mean, Jimmy Thelin
you say the other night, Bunzy, that Aberdeen might be prepared to make a record signing in January?
Yep.
Did I hear you right?
Definitely, yep. I mean, they looked at a potential target last month that would have cost over £1 million. Sorry, last month, August. They looked at a potential target that was valued at over £1 million. So if the deal is right, I know that the Aberdeen board will back Jimmy Thelin on that front. That's how much faith they have in him. But it all comes down to January when where they're placed, I think. But if they're in a genuine place, I think they will go for it.
Right. Okay. Well, let's not beat around the bush, Burnsy. What's your prediction for Celtic Park? Give me your scoreline.
I think both teams are weakest at the back, and both can be got at, right?
Mm-hmm.
My concern for Aberdeen this weekend is that I'm told that Cameron Carter-Vickers is back training this week.
Yeah, Aberdeen will be hoping that he's a bit rusty as well, won't he?
Aye, but if he comes back in, there's no doubt he's Aberdeen's best central defender.
He's Aberdeen's best Celtic.
Aberdeen, sorry. Well, no, Aberdeen West. Sorry, he's Celtic's best central.
He is by a stretch.
With that, if he's back and fit, I fear that Celtic would win the game. But I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Aberdeen were to go down there and get a result. But as it stands, you would need to say Celtic still remain favourites because of the quality they've got, and they've been over the course.
Rangers have been looking around for good news wherever they can find it these days. Burnsy, it's been a difficult start to the season. I think everybody realises that. There is an element here that there could be there will be some good news for them on Saturday, because one way or another, somebody's always got to go at Celtic Park, whether it's Aberdeen, Celtic, it could be a draw. It gives Rangers a chance to eat into whatever gap that is, whether it's the gap with Aberdeen, Celtic, both. But they've got to take care of their own business the following afternoon at Rugby Park. That is proven now to be a really difficult venue for everybody, but not least the two Glasgow teams. Derek McInnes makes it a real difficult afternoon there, doesn't he?
Well, he's shown that he's got results against both Celtic and Rangers. I mean, One thing is Kilmarnock being in Europe this year, they hadn't really fired at the start of the season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they did get that result. They did get the win at Dundee last time out, so confidence will be a bit higher. And look at McInnes, he'll fancy his chances against anyone at Rugby Park.
Yeah, because
even at Ibrox and Celtic Park. So, I mean, he'll believe there's something there for his team. And if his players go out and perform, then there's every chance. But as you said, I mean, the pressure is on Rangers. They need to win the game, because even if they win the game, and obviously Aberdeen or Celtic are going to drop points, they're still trailing those two.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I think the best case scenario is probably for Rangers, for Aberdeen and Celtic to share the points to get a draw at the weekend, and it would allow them it would give them the opportunity, which albeit they'd need to take it, but it would allow them the opportunity to cut 2 points off both, and narrow things up at the top of the league. Graham Ainsley from Glasgow: the international breaks are sucking all the momentum out of the domestic season. I happen to agree with that, and it's not helping Rangers find their stride. That's probably true as well. I'm worried about Sunday already. I think a lot of Rangers fans will be in that boat, Scott.
Well, understandably, because their team have been far from convincing this season, haven't they? You know what I mean? They've still to hit top gear. They're probably still to find Philippe Clement still probably to find or decide what his best starting 11 is.
Yeah.
So until he gets that, hits the ground, and he can start get the new signings bedded in, I don't think we'll see the best of Rangers. I mean, as it stands, he just needs to try and find out victories in Europe and domestically. And that's all you can do.
He did say October, didn't he? I'm not making that up in my own head. He did say by October you'll start to see what this Rangers side, what I want them to look like. There's been precious little sign of it so far. And by the way, Philippe, there's only a couple of weeks left. Here's Brian Taylor, Perth. The next month is huge for Philippe Clement, and it has to start with a win at Rugby Park. Anything less, and he might not make it past Halloween, never mind get to a New Year derby. He has just signed a new contract, of course, but do you know what? I'm inclined to agree that if Philippe Clement was to drop more points especially the first game back at Rugby Park, I think the pressure would really start to build on him, because he doesn't seem to have put enough of a body of work behind him to convince the Rangers fans that he really is moving this team in the right direction. They seem to me to be a collection of individuals, Bunsey. I don't know about what your take on it is, but I don't see a clear, distinct style of play. I'm not. Every time I look at a Clement Rangers side, I'm wondering what it is that he's asking the players to do. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you see it, but they're kind of getting results by hook or by crook, but with no clear, defined structure.
I don't think the Rangers team this season is an improvement on the squad from last season. And that's with all the signings he's made. I don't think they're as strong.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, time will tell. Some of these players are new to the league. They need time to find their feet. But as we keep going back to Rangers and Celtic, you don't get time. As a manager of players, you've got to hit the ground running. And if you don't, then you're chased out. Philippe Clement might have signed a new contract. But so did Stephen A. Smith at the start of the season.
That's true.
You know? It could be, I mean, he might have signed whatever he signed for. It just the length of a manager's contract doesn't matter. It's the length of his termination that's the be all and end all. You know what I mean? And how much it costs to get rid of him. And as it stands, I mean, Philippe Clement needs to start getting results, because it's unacceptable as a Rangers manager to be sitting third in the league.
Yeah, it's results and performances, though. You know, he could go on a run, grind out some results, but I think the Rangers fans have now said, well, you know, you've had a year in the job, so can we see some signs of what it is that you're trying to get the team to look like? I think he has to. I think that it's now, results might not be enough. If he goes and grinds out a few wins, 1-0s, 2-0, ugly wins, I think the Rangers fans are still looking for a little bit more by now. And I think, Burnsy, they're entitled to think, or entitled to expect a little bit more 1 year into the job. Is that too much to ask?
No, I think there should be signs of improvement. He certainly made a decent start. I mean, it went a good run last year, you know what I mean? Where he got the team back into a title fight, you know what I mean? This season, they haven't even got the first gear. I mean, they are unconvincing as a team.
That's exactly the word.
They're unconvincing, and as it stands, I wouldn't be surprised if Aberdeen and Celtic, over the course of the next few weeks, were to widen that gap. Because if Rangers were to lose at Aberdeen, you know what I mean? It could be quite a gap.
Are you actually now coming to the conclusion that Aberdeen are going to finish at least second, Burnsy? Is that where you're at?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not saying that. I mean, and I think if you listen to any Aberdeen fan, or certainly they won't be getting carried away. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of work to be done. They've only played 7 games, haven't they? A lot can happen in that spell, but they're certainly in a good place. They've put themselves in a position where they can kick on, and if they really kick on and win the majority of the other games, and not against, but all the other games don't slip up, they'll be in a good place, and they'll be in a good position to certainly challenge for at least second spot.
Right, give me your prediction then for Rugby Park. Give me a scoreline.
I think Rangers might just edge it by a goal, and yet again, it'll be unconvincing, but it'll be 3 points.
Cyril Desser's winner. Listen, I think some interesting games, of course. Hibs Dundee United is interesting. Hibs are in danger a little bit, Burnsy, of getting dragged in. I think if Hearts were to beat St Mirren this weekend and Hibs lose to Dundee United, then the two of them would be locked together on the same points. So it's funny because, you know, everybody's made such a big issue of Hearts having such a bad start to the season, but just slowly Hibs have been falling and moving down in the wrong direction. You know, it would be absolutely astonishing if the two of them were then, you know, locked down at the foot of the table on the same points after the weekend.
I wouldn't certainly. I mean, it could potentially happen this weekend. I think over the course of the season, I'd be very surprised if both Edinburgh teams were in the bottom 6. I would suspect one of them to get their house in order, but I mean, the Hibs board, I mean, the one thing about them, they spend money and they back the majority of the managers, but for whatever reason, the team on the pitch struggles to get results.
Yeah, I know. It's a mystery, the same old mystery every year, isn't it?
I mean, you can't keep changing the managers, change your players. There's got to be something bigger than that. You know what I mean? And the Hibs fans, they deserve better. You know what I mean? They've been in the shadows of Hearts and Aberdeen in recent seasons. I mean, they're a massive club. If they get their house in order, they should be up with Hearts and Aberdeen and that, really having a right go at Rangers and Celtic.
That's what we want. That makes it a healthy environment for everybody. If the big city clubs, the best supporter clubs, are really punching their weight and giving us, competition at the right end of the table, I think it's ridiculous that Hearts and Hibs are so patchy. I just wish we could get a season where everybody was all up and running and firing, and Celtic were going to, whether it's Easter Road or Tynecastle or Pittodrie, and they're going to get a game. Same with Rangers, and it's just that's the environment that we need for Scottish football. Hearts could definitely do with turning things around. New manager, Neil Critchley, obviously first game, Scott. I'm kind of still in a bit of shock about that appointment. William Gray, Edinburgh, says the Hearts fans have to get behind Neil Critchley from the start. It might not have been the appointment we were hoping for, but let's give the man a chance. Well, fair enough, William. You've got no choice, really, have you?
Well, what I would say is, Keith, that Neil Critchley's appointment was more popular than your choice. Former Hibs. Well,
Rooney. No, I thought that was. I keep saying that was stress testing the logic. My tip for them was Derek. By the way, the Hearts fans didn't seem that keen on Derek McInnes either. They wanted a fancy Scandic name from the analytics. So
they've got Neil Critchley, right? I mean, I think a lot of Hearts fans were a bit upset, annoyed that it ended up Neil Critchley. But I think the majority of them have all said, look, if he becomes a Hearts manager, which he has, we'll get behind them. And I think they will. You know what I mean? The thing for Neil Critchley is that he's behind the 8 ball before he starts. And he needs to really hit the ground running and get a run of results where he gets the fans behind him, gets that goodwill, and then we can really see what a good manager he is.
Disastrous start for him if he was to not beat St Mirren, and there's every chance of that. St Mirren, such a good, strong, well-organised side. That's a real difficult starter, and then followed by Edinburgh derby. If he was to get 0 points from those 2 games, the heat's on, isn't it? I mean, it's just a horrible start if that's the case.
The heat is, yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, if he was to pick up 0 points from them 2 games, he'd certainly be under pressure. But you still need to be given time. You know what I mean? And he probably needs to be given at least one transfer window as well to try and get his own players in. And it's going to take time because he'll come in, he'll want to play in a certain style. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, so he'll just have to use the players he's got and try to maximise them. Because bear in mind, I don't care what MD says, there's still a good squad there at Hearts. You know what I mean? A very good
totally.
They finished up last season, and I think some of the signings over the summer were good Premiership players. So I don't understand why they're in the position they are in.
Because it's scattergun recruitment. Right. Because they didn't recruit properly. They didn't recruit in the positions that were required, and they are a bit all over the place. He's got to pick this up. And by the way, he doesn't have the luxury of time. If Hearts were sitting mid-table, you go, right, okay, well, you can bed in here. Let's get your ideas. Doesn't have that. He's right up against it from day one.
Mm-hmm. The other thing as well is that he is a top coach, so he will make players better. But is he going to have a say in recruitment? I don't know if he will, because the analytics and the Tory Bloom supercomputer is going to come into play, and it's going to, these are the players we want, bring them in, and it'll be up to you to coach them, sort of thing. So
yeah, you do something with that.
I'm not sure how much of a say he'll actually have, other than possibly training the team and picking the team. Mm-hmm. We just don't know, but that's the way it looks. Because I know the Tory Bloom computer's done the analytics on the Hearts squad just now, you know what I mean? And the feeling is it's not athletic enough for where they want to go to, sort of thing. So, give
us your prediction for that one, Bunzy, please.
I think Hearts will get off to a winning start.
Much needed. Okay, much needed. Right, listen, Bunzy, before we go tonight, outside of the top flight, sorry, the crisis situation continues in Inverness. I know you've been working on that story today. Where are we? Are we now hopeful at the 11th hour that there might be a rescue package put on the table and that the Inverness Caledonian Thistle can avoid going into administration?
I think there's a good chance that an offer will be made before tomorrow's deadline. Mm-hmm. Look, it's not as black and white and saying it's black and white as to say, look, that's it, we can make an offer. there are talks ongoing tonight, right? Because
is this with David Anderson, the local businessman?
Yes, but not with people at the club. It's with those who the club have got debts, I believe, of more than £3 million.
Yeah,
more than £2 million.
More than
£2 million of that is due to personal loans from former directors. I think in fact, I know David Anderson is speaking to their former directors just now to see if they can come to some agreement over that debt, whether that's wiped off or whether they can come to an arrangement to be paid further down the line. If they can come to an arrangement over that, it takes the debt down to just over 1 million, and I think that's when there's a good chance that this could come into play. If they can't come to an agreement over the loans, then I think it might be a dead duck. But the feeling on all sides is that an agreement can be reached to at least see how make an offer.
What's the deadline, Bunsey?
Noon tomorrow is the deadline.
Noon tomorrow, high noon.
And then the Inverness have got a board meeting after that tomorrow afternoon. Decide obviously whether they take that forward or they go into administration. Because the big issue as well is administration is the 15-point deduction. I mean, they're not exactly in a great place in League One just now. You know what I mean? They could end up being relegated again. Plus, is there not another 5-point deduction for the following season as well? Something like that. So it's a harsh punishment.
You might be right.
So that's why they're trying everything they can to keep the club out of administration. So next few hours are going to be interesting, but fingers crossed that the Highlanders can get through it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely critical. I mean, we've seen previous examples of what happens if you get into these situations, into administration. Can you get out of administration? Is it liquidation job? You know, and they've offered quite a lot to the whole story of Scottish football over the last period of time. It's actually a crying shame to see the mess that they've got themselves into. I think the one statement that came out of Inverness Caley earlier on this afternoon, Scott, which I'm sure you've seen, the board can confirm that the time for any interested parties to offer for the club has come and gone. We are currently looking at our position and we'll make an announcement in the coming days. Well, I think by high noon tomorrow we'll know one way or the other. Fingers crossed for them, mate, because it's just we don't want to see our clubs in distress like that.
Yeah, I was speaking to Graham Shinney the other week, and he was saying something like along the lines of stuff. 10 or 11 years ago, there was one point where they were sitting top of the Scottish Premiership. You know what I mean? Now
mental.
They're fighting for their lives, so fingers crossed they get through it, because I don't think we could afford to lose another decent club.
No. Cautionary tale. All right, Bunsey. Well, we'll be back tomorrow, and no, we won't. Actually, what am I talking about? We don't come back on a Friday night. This is now officially the weekend. You can go and drink some wine, Bunsey, if you like.
Red or white?
That depends on your preference, doesn't it? Right. Okay, well, we'll be back on Sunday, by which point we'll know exactly how it went at Celtic Park on Saturday, and we'll know how Rangers got on at Rugby Park, as well as the Hearts games and all that. So much to talk about on Sunday. We will probably be on air around about 3:30, and I hope you can join us then. Cheers, Bunsey. Cheers, folks.
All the best.